Thank you for joining us today at Big Time Productions as we change the look of our kitchen and give it a bit of a facelift. Made a trip to Lowe's and found everything we needed for our project. We used acetone to clean the countertops, remove all of the grease, grime, anything that could possibly have been on the countertops and prevent our products from sticking. Next, we used Rust-Oleum as our base paint. We picked out a base gray and followed it with Krylon coarse texture. We used black as the base texture, followed by beige, and then used a polyacrylic to seal it. And in between the coats of polyacrylic, we did use a 200 grit sandpaper to get the finish that we wanted for the smooth countertop that we were looking for. We also used small countertop rollers and small brushes to make the project easier for the space that we were working on. To begin our project, my husband Michael taped off underneath all of the countertops and across the backsplash. We then started wiping everything down with the acetone to get a clean, smooth surface so that we could begin painting with the gray as our first coat, and then let that dry. We did 2 coats of gray before we started to work with the texture. When you get ready to paint and start using your paintbrush, you want to make sure that you fan the brush and get out any loose fibers so that they don't end up in your paint or on your countertop. You want to start by cutting in the corners and the sides. Do small sections at a time so that you don't end up with too many strokes, marks, brush marks in your paint. It's easily covered by your roller when you start rolling. You need to make sure that you're getting good coverage. The roller is good for going back and covering the edges, but because you want to make sure you get up close to the backsplash, you want to be sure that you've got good coverage with your brush as well, especially getting up in all the corners and small places. It's especially important to get all of the crevices and everything, especially along the edges. The rollers don't do as much for you on the edges as they do across the surface. Once you start with the roller, you have to be careful that it doesn't slide across the countertop. The smaller rollers tend to want to slide instead of roll on the counter, so you have to be careful. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but they're very easy to work with. After your base coat has dried is when you go back and start with your texture so that you can get the look that you want on your countertop. We used the Krylon coarse texture, black and beige. We started with the black first, and you want to do small bursts, not just full sprays. And the higher that you spray from, the better your pattern will be. If you're close, you're going to have spots, so you want to be careful. Maybe do a test somewhere else first. We worked with cardboard a little bit and did some test patterns so that we would have an idea as to what kind of look we wanted to have. It's easy to get a little too close and have spots, so you want to be careful. Do your test first. You want to make sure that you get the edges as well as the top. The edges are easy to do, but kind of hard to redo, so you got to be careful. And then start on the top, and again, you want to do short bursts, not just spray all over. After you have first coat on, sometimes you go back, redo spots that you want to have maybe a little heavier texture in. It's your call. You can do it thick, heavy, or you can do just a light pattern. Just depends on what kind of look you're going for. We started with the black. It had black and white in it, and then our next color is going to be beige after that. Excuse me, that should be tan, not beige. After letting your colors dry, letting your texture dry, and that takes a couple hours to let each one dry, and then from there you go in with 200 grit sandpaper and sand down your top and sides, sand down all of it, and then start putting on your clear coat, and that's a polyacrylic clear coat. Depending on how thick of a top you want on it, you can put 2 to 3 coats on, you can put 4 to 5 coats on. It just depends on what you'd like to have. We put 4 coats on ours. We allowed drying time in between, and we did sand in between until we got the desired finish that we wanted and the smooth effect that we wanted. We also had about 30 minutes in between our coats of drying, and then overall dry time when we were done took about 8 hours before we felt comfortable enough to set stuff on our kitchen countertops. The overall effect is beautiful. It looks great. Very happy with it. As you can see, the roller going on is the same as when you're working with your gray coat. You have to be careful that it's not sliding, because it does try and do the same as it did with the gray. It tries to slide instead of roll. So you want to be careful that it's not sliding. And the polyacrylic looks like milk, so it comes out white, but it will finish clear and looks very nice. We're all done with the kitchen. It took us approximately a day and a half from start to finish. We spent about $150, and I would recommend this for anyone who wants to redo their kitchen countertops and give their kitchen a facelift. It wasn't hard, and I was able to do most of it myself with a little bit of help. So I would definitely recommend it. It came out nice, and the whole kitchen looks different from start to finish. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe and like our page. Have a great day.